Absolutely huge game this Monday night for the Indianapolis Colts against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt Ryan, obviously one of the big guys in this game, going to determine whether this is a win or a loss. Is it a must-win game? We asked Matt Ryan.
You know, we say all the time every week is that way, but you know, the reality of the situation is we've got to knock off as many as we can in the next 6, and it starts this weekend, or Monday night, I should say. So I think the urgency is good. I feel like the week has been off to a good start. Thought we had a good week last week. You know, to be honest with you, I thought the preparation was really good. I think our execution needs to be better, but we have to get right back to it. And we've got to try and improve on what we did in practice last week and make sure that translates to what we can do on the field.
Why do you think it's been so hard to get some shots down the field?
I think, you know, part of it is just you have to have enough time to be able to do some of the things you want to do to push the ball down the field. And we just haven't been consistent enough, you know, throughout the year. But I really think, you know, we made some strides. We did some good things last week. We made too many mistakes. But we've got to find ways. You know, we've got to find ways to stretch the field vertically, get some chances, create explosive plays. It becomes too difficult, you know, when every drive you're not getting those chunk plays. So, you know, I think Parks has done a good job the last couple of weeks. You know, we got to continue to look during the week to find ways to try and do that, and hopefully we can be better at that.
Matt, from a 30,000-foot view, why hasn't this team finished more often in the red zone? I mean, you know what it takes to finish in there, and you can't take 3 and you got to take 7, but why?
Yeah, well, I kind of think it's, to a certain extent, kind of been like death by 1,000 paper cuts. You know, it's little things that knock you off schedule, getting behind the sticks, not making the plays when they're there. You know, those things, they add up all the time. But, you know, particularly last week when you're playing against a really good football team, you know, you have to be opportunistic. You gotta take advantage of those chances when you get them, because they're not, you know, you're not going to have like 8 trips down there, you know, going against a team like that. And so you got to maximize the opportunities that you have. But I think, you know, across the board, you know, when you look at the scope of the entire year, I think, you know, part of it is we've kind of each taken our own turn. You know, it hasn't been just one thing, but at different times, you know, we've each taken our own turn. And so you just have to be more consistent, have to believe. You know, I do think there's a sense of, even though it hasn't gone the way, there has to be a belief that when you get down there, you're gonna find a way to punch it in. You know, and however that looks, whether it's running it, throwing it, whatever we have to do to find a way to put it in the end zone.
You know, but the deep shots, the inconsistent protection, whatever. When the decision's been made to go with a rookie left tackle, you know, they know there's gonna be growing pains. Does that impact how you approach things as quarterback?
I don't think you can. You know, I think the impact comes from game planning. And in ways to try and design things to make sure there's help, or we're sliding a certain way. I think when you're playing, you know, you have to trust that the play is going to shake out the way it's supposed to. And you know, I think Bernie's getting better. He's played against some really good players in you know, his handful of opportunities this year. But you know, I think week to week there's going to be continued growth for him. And we got to find ways to not only help him, but just across the board, just make sure we're, you know, in the best situation possible to get double teams when we can, and not try and put guys on, you know, one-on-ones on islands as much as possible.
Also, early in off-season and training camp and all this, you saw what Mo could do in the passing game, what he presented. Lately, he's had to be sort of that extra lineman. How's he handled that?
I think he's handled it well. You know, I think. You know, obviously, he's at different times throughout the year, he's had production for us in the pass game and done a really good job. But when you're trying to, you know, when you're trying to shore things up front, you know, you tend to either chip with tight ends or keep tight ends in to try and help with tackles, to create just, you know, one more guy for front staff to go around. And so it obviously limits, you know, what he can do in the pass game. But I think from an attitude, from an effort standpoint, I think he's been great.
You played in many Monday night games. Can you talk about just how nice it is to embrace that moment? The entire country would be watching this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. It's always fun Monday night. I think now there's Thursday night, Sunday night, but when I was growing up, it was Monday night was kind of it. Sunday night came into it a little bit, but Monday night was the night, and so I've always found it really fun to play in those type of environments. I know we've got such a good fan base here, and let's give them something to cheer about. Let's give them something to get rowdy about, and hopefully we can do that Monday night.
Does it seem strange that they haven't had a Monday night game here since 2015?
I suppose. Yeah,
That's a long time.
It is. Yeah, it is. I guess that is a long time, but glad to have it back.
Now, what do you see from the Pittsburgh front? What do you see from that Pittsburgh front?
Yeah, I think they're talented. I think it's a good group, physical on the inside. They got game changers on the outside, guys that you have to, in that front seven. But on the edge rushers, they've got a lot of talent, but they play with great effort too. And they finish and they find ways to get those effort, strips or sacks or even plays in the run game. So I think it's a good group. It's certainly going to be a good challenge for us. And we've got to go play our best.
You guys went toe-to-toe with one of the top teams in the league last week. What can you take away from that Eagles game to give you some confidence going into this match against the Steelers?
Well, I think you look at the things we did well, and you emphasize them, and you look at the things we need to clean up, and you focus on that during the week of practice. How do we get our technique just a little bit better? Because I've always thought that when you're going against the really good teams, the margin for error is small, and I think obviously the margin for error was very small last week. But if we just tighten some things up, there's a really good opportunity for us to be a lot more productive. And I really expect us to do that. I feel like, we're going to put in a great week of work this week. We've got the extra day, which is good for us at this time of the year. We've had a long stretch, without much time off. So getting that extra day, not only for recovery, but also, to work on some of the things we need to work on, I think is a good thing for us right now.
All right. That's Matt Raimann. You know what? He is, like Stuart Scott used to say, as cool as the other side of the pillow. You ask him a question, you get an answer. No difference in Matt Raimann from training camp through the early part of the season to right now.